I'm just going to end the poll right here and share the results with everyone. Yeah. Piyush, I think you can see these results, right? You can see that.
I can, yes.
Yeah. So 30% of them from tech and product roles, and yeah, almost.
Data science 15. It's good.
Yeah. Some of them, yes. And about a third of them have more than 5 years of experience. More than half of them are actually freshers.
Freshers, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Good.
Go ahead, Piyush. Yes. All right. So let's quickly get started. I think I've told these learners that, if you've got questions, make sure you put them on the Q&A box. And if you're joining us on either LinkedIn or YouTube, please put your questions on the live chat so that I can pass them on to Piyush. And like I said, if you are looking for a certificate for attending this webinar, we'll launch a poll similar to what I did, right now towards the end, and you can submit your names. Okay, so with that, I think let's quickly jump into the session. I think we're all ready to start and listen from Piyush about insights. So just a little bit about Simplilearn, and that's okay. We've kind of seen the professional background here, and yes, I will address questions whenever they are relevant. So just a little bit about Simplilearn and what we do. We've been operational since 2010. And over the span of last 15 years, we've touched more than 8 million careers worldwide from learners of more than from more than 150 plus countries. Okay, we've got global partnerships with that. Let me introduce Piyush to you. Piyush has got more than 17 years of experience in building end-to-end machine learning solutions. He's got a lot of expertise in NLP, MLOps, and he's led data science and analytics teams across different geographies as well. And of course, he's really passionate about mentoring and teaching. And he's got a lot of insights for how you can build your foundation very, very strongly. And also, of course, we'll highlight how our program, in partnership with ENICT Academy, IIT Guwahati, is also going to help you. Okay, right? I guess my voice is audible. I don't think there's an issue there. Okay, so I think with that, let's quickly get started. Piyush, maybe you could introduce yourself as well, then we can jump right in.
Sure. So thank you once again for having me as a panelist here. It's always exciting to talk about, the exciting field of AI and machine learning. So, yeah, so I think the slide has most of our information. So I started my career as a software developer, like I think many of the people who are already here in this forum. And I did a lot of application development for a couple of years in different domains. And usually I used to do C++, .NET, and those regular traditional technologies. And after that, after I did my MBA, I got moved into a more data strategy kind of role. And from there, and this was around 14 years back. So at that time, uh, tools like Power BI and analytics, they were just coming in, like Tableau. I know a lot of people have heard. So there was no data science or machine learning when these corporations, all the companies were doing. So everybody was just getting their hands dirty into just reporting analytics. And from there, I slowly transitioned into more of data science, AI, and uh, more of these technology focused roles. And of course, now we all know that it is the age of Gen AI. So that is what I'm currently working in across different domains. So, yep, that is about me.
Great. Thanks, Piyush, for the introduction. People putting their questions on the Q&A box. Remember what I said in the beginning of the session. Just wait till I find the right time to pass these questions on. So we're actually going to get started. Aman, I would request you to reserve the comments to yourself. If you're really interested in distracting the class, you may actually leave the class. I would be forced to remove you if you do that once again. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so Piyush, we could start by highlighting how the AI market is looking like. How is it changing things? Maybe you could start with that.
Sure. So I think AI, and I think whoever is here, they have either heard of AI, or they are interested in AI, or they are already doing something in AI, right? So I think everyone knows, uh, everyone follows news, everyone follows some Twitter profile for industry people, etc. AI is here to stay, and it is booming rapidly, right? And I know there are a lot of negative and positive lights, how AI is shown, but regardless, AI is here to stay, and AI is going to be the future technology which we are going to see across all the different domains, whether it's healthcare, whether it's finance, whether it's retail, whatever you can think of, AI is going to be there. In fact, we use smartphones every day. There is almost 100 applications we don't know has AI behind the scenes, right? So I mean, you like it or not, we are sort of, entrenched with AI very, very deeply.
Yeah.
So we cannot escape that. It is going to be our part and parcel of our lives. So because of this boom in AI, and especially later I'll talk about why this has been over the past few years as well. Every industry is going or trying to do some kind of adoption into this space, because the ultimate goal for every industry is revenue, right? Revenue and profits. And through AI, each of these industries is getting impacted on how they interact with their customers, how they do their day-to-day work, how their employees are getting impacted with AI. So there is no way that they are not going to adapt and get the best out of it. So it's still under, I would say, a nascent stage. It's not at the peak right now. For example, if I talk about something like Power BI and Tableau, which I mentioned, those kind of tools are at their peak right now, right? Everybody has adopted to them, everybody is using them. But the AI, which and more of machine learning and Gen AI and those kind of aspects which I'm referring to, that is still currently being discovered by a lot of companies, right? And that is where this entire boom in the AI market, because people are trying different things, people are trying to figure out how they can get the best out of productivity, revenue, customer satisfaction, everything, right? And because of this experimentation and adoption, we have a lot of jobs in the AI field, right? So this is, in fact, this this is the right time to actually get into this, on board this AI train, because just like with any other technology, right? Maybe 5-10 years down the line, there will be like a plateau. So this is the right time when you want to get into the AI and you want to get into the marketplace with your skills and technologies to work or find these AI kind of roles. So yeah, I mean, you can see from the statistics, some of them which are already mentioned here, there are going to be a lot of new jobs even this year, right? As mentioned by the World Economic Forum, which would require some kind of AI skills, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, those are the industry trends, and I believe people who are all currently working or looking for jobs, you must have already seen that this is where the industry is heading towards.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's true. And also AI is kind of taking making presence in other domains as well, not necessarily in the tech, which means, I mean, people who are in the non-tech background kind of have to upskill and make sure that they're also staying relevant, right? Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah. So with that, I think let's talk about what kind of roles can one really choose and pick up. I know the list is not exhaustive exactly, but maybe you could add to this list as well based on whatever you see in the industry. You could also highlight the requirements and expertise that is required for these roles.
Yeah. So you're absolutely right. I mean, this is not an exhaustive list. There are many different kind of roles which are out there right now. Um, One thing which I would like to mention, which is common across all of these roles, is that there, when you are working in the field of AI or machine learning or data science, whatever you want to call it, domain knowledge is also very, very important, right? And that is why if you see a lot of people who are, experts in domains, maybe not expert in programming, also are very, very good data scientists or machine learning engineers or whichever role you see over here, right? So because data science, AI deals with data, right? And if you're from a particular domain, let's say I am, let's say, a nurse or a doctor in the healthcare industry, I have a lot of knowledge and insight about the data I see, or data I work with. Uh, I can learn tools and technologies. I can learn Python. I can use Copilot or whatever, I can learn Azure. But that domain knowledge I can only get from experience and hard work, right? So one thing which a lot of people, think about where don't, in fact, I would say don't think about when getting into this field is, if you're from a particular domain, I think you would be a very good data scientist or an ML engineer in that particular area. So this is one thing which is common across all the different AI fields or AI, roles which you see over here. Now, if you break down into, these particular titles, for example, like a GenAI engineer would typically be working on more on the newer GenAI stuff, like ChatGPT kind of models, or RAG frameworks, some kind of text image generation like DALI or diffusion models, or Sora. I think many of you might have already heard these names, right? So this would require an expertise into how generative AI works, right? Now, another thing to note is that the foundation for all of these roles, right, is your mathematics, is your Python skills, and is your algorithms and statistical uh, algorithms, right? So whichever role you go to, either if you're a consultant or a machine learning engineer, the foundation has to be very, very strong, right? And all of these roles have the same foundation, right? So it's like you have the same basic foundation, but your expertise, or you're probably doing a master's in something else, right? So for example, a gen AI engineer would probably work on more of the gen AI frameworks and large language models. A machine learning engineer would probably be doing more kind of traditional data science algorithms, doing ML ops, doing designing, working on deep learning models, etc. AI solutions architect would be more on the high level, where uh, if I am a data scientist and I built some app and I built some model, how would that fit into my entire architecture of the system which I already have? So that would be a role of a solutions architect, right? Product manager would be someone who is managing a product and then trying to add more features around the AI aspect, right? So how can I enhance my product by adding these AI features or features which are useful for my customers or my employees or whatever, using these AI technologies. For that also you need to know how these AI technologies work, and what can be added, what is feasible, etc. And of course, a consultant would be from a more holistic perspective of, let's say I'm an organization and I want to start my AI adoption. Where should I start my journey from, or how should I start my journey? Whether, how do I get my data? How do I create a data warehouse? And from there, what kind of data science, analytics, etc. I can do, right? So the roles are, I would say, in every tier of uh, the hierarchy you can think of, right? So right from the developer level to a very high director or a senior director level, right? Where you're managing an entire team of, let's say, data scientists and solution architects. So the crux is that if you are into this, if you are doing any of these things, you need to have a really strong foundational background plus these extra expertise like Gen AI and algorithms and mathematical understanding of data science.
Got it. Are there any other roles, Piyush, that you can think of, you can highlight as well? We have that question on the chat box too.
Yeah, so I think the other roles are also somewhat non-technical as well, right? So, for example, like I gave you an example. So, couple of years back, I used to work with a healthcare firm, pretty large healthcare firm, and over there, all the people who were working in the corporate strategy department were data scientists, right? Now, they did not do any kind of Python programming. They did not do any, building of frameworks and solutions. They were only doing data analysis and presentation, right? Now, why did we need data scientists there? Because data scientists can understand data very, very well. They can do data analysis. They can do some kind of forecasting and prediction over there using just you. And this isn't, I'm talking about using, just Excel maybe, right? But that expertise of understanding the data, doing the analysis, and presenting is also one very important skill which a data scientist should have. So everyone in the corporate strategy department was a data scientist, right? But what did you need over there? You need really good analysis skills, you need really good presentation skills, and you really needed good communication, right? That is one point which I again want to highlight. For a data scientist, excellent communication is also a very big part of your role, because you as a data scientist can understand all the technical aspects of the data, but your stakeholders don't understand that technical aspect, right? So how do you communicate your technical understanding in a very layman format and present it to a stakeholder so that somebody from a non-data science background can also understand it, right? And this is where again people from different domains who have domain expertise play a lot of big role over here.
Yes,
So yeah, I mean, there are a lot of non-technical roles as well which are there for data scientists.
got it. Understood. So what you're trying to highlight is that if you're working in a certain domain, you can still become a data scientist, but obviously the foundation, the right foundation need to be set. So maybe Piyush, this is the time where we highlight how someone can build that strong foundation and eventually take up job roles. So there are a lot of questions on the Q&A box about actually this, that they're from commerce, someone is in the railways, someone is
Mhm.
a beginner, you know what how can someone is just going to join college, how can they start their AI journey? So, and someone actually has a question about how can they make their resume appealing. I think all of these questions kind of can be answered in how they build their foundation and eventually set their learning journey. So could you just highlight how someone should start and eventually, build on that?
Sure. So yeah, good questions I think from everyone. So again, a couple of points which I mentioned before. uh, the foundation for a good data scientist, and I'm going to say data scientist because that encompasses everyone, like every role. Data scientist, I think, is a very generalized good term to yeah, encompass everyone. So the foundation for a very good data scientist, right, is Python, right? And this is something which a lot of people, when they're getting into learning data science, sort of miss out that programming is a big aspect of data science, right? Wherever you go, even when if you're doing like a small analysis or small program, you would 99.9% do it in Python. Very rarely you would do in any other programming language, and that is why Python is the default data science language of whatever we do programming in. Now, this probably is a lot of people who are from the non-technology background would be suddenly thinking that, okay, since I have not done any kind of programming before, uh, what is there for me, like how can I take this further? So Python is uh, probably the simplest language to understand, right? And even if you're from a non-technical background, right, the things which you have to understand, and probably you need to put more effort than people who are from a technical background. But Python is a very, very simple language to work with, right? All you need to understand is how to actually program or get your programming foundational skills up to speed. Correct. Now, this is true for every software job you go with, right? You have to have programming fundamentals. So here the advantage is that we are working with a very simple language, and you can get your programming fundamentals, at a very good uh, at a very good level by working in Python, right? So, of course, this is more technical, but if you compare Python with other languages, you'll see that it's very simple. Some of the things are already inbuilt in Python, and that's why it is the default language for data scientists, right? So, understanding the programming basics and foundations is very, very important. Like for any roles which you had seen in the last slide or which I've been talking about, right? The second thing is understanding the core algorithms. Now, those core algorithms have to deal with a lot of mathematical and statistical uh, foundations, right? So, of course, in this course, we cover all of this. But again, from the perspective of being a very good data scientist, you need to have exceptionally strong algorithm foundational skills, right? Now, if you are good with the foundations, if you have understood the foundations very well, the programming basics, Python, and your core statistical and mathematical foundations, everything else after this is, and believe me, it will be like a cakewalk, right? Because whatever you see now, intermediate skills, advanced topics, applied learning, is all based on these foundational concepts, right? So if you know what statistical algorithms you need to apply in what situation, then your data handling, modeling, model building, performance evaluation becomes a cakewalk, right? If you know how my mathematics works in these algorithms, how does my model get trained mathematically, advanced topics like deep learning, computer vision become like a cakewalk, right? Because these are nothing but more complex things based on the foundations of your data science, right? And if your foundation is strong, I again believe me, these are very, very easy to understand. Okay, of course, your uh, while you are studying and doing you're preparing for different aspects in the course, the another major part is that you actually work on real life data or problems, right? To solve across different domains, correct? So once you have your foundations ready, once you have your intermediate skills which are based on your foundations, right, then you can diversify your role across. Okay, I want to do something in computer vision, right? I want to do something only in computer vision. Then you can probably diversify in that way. Again, foundational skills will be the key over there. If I want to do something like a chat GPT or something in LLMs, I will go the NLP route, which is natural language processing, right? If I want to do more of like uh, let's say forecasting, I want to do stock market prediction, I will go a different way, but again, my foundations would remain the same, right? So depends on what is your what do you like or what are you interested in, you can go in any of these directions, but the foundation for all of these things, for all of the advanced topics, remains the same.
Okay. Okay. Got it. So I think the first step, just to summarize what you said, is to build a strong foundation in programming, especially Python. We'll come to this question about where someone can learn this. But you're saying also is PyTorch or Pydantic are also good options, or just Python is a great start?
So PyTorch and Pydantic, everything is part of Python. So
Right.
you would start with Python basics, and then you would evolve into PyTorch or any other deep learning frameworks. But you have to start with Python. You have to start with Python basics.
Right. So anyone who is just starting out in data science, I think a great start is obviously Python, and
Mhm.
then kind of build on that and understand how models are built, how data is data handling and all of that, and then build a specialization, in different machine learning areas. Either deep learning, can be NLP, can be
Yep.
computer, can be anything. So build on that after you have, understood these
Yes,
concepts, because all of these areas are also dependent on the foundation, right?
correct.
So yeah, maybe when we talk about the course, we'll uh, the course is actually structured this way, that we're starting with the programming refresher.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
And
we'll
in fact,
talk.
I'll just take a minute to talk about, my journey as well.
Yeah, of
Like I
course.
said, I was a programmer, so I had some programming fundamentals earlier. But once I got into, I got into a corporate strategy role where I had to do a lot of presentations and, look at the data and figure out, things from there. So that is where I actually started building my data skills. And that is where I started studying, doing some self study on these tools and technologies. What is Python? I started doing some self running on Python. Slowly, whatever I was doing into Excel, I transitioned all of that into Python, could do it more faster. And then finally, when my Python foundational skills were good, I started learning about data science and what are algorithms, what are the machine learning algorithms, what is statistics, all the mathematics probably I had done in class 10th. That is what is used in data science, right? So, I mean, and at that time I probably did not pay attention, but now I had to revise everything and go through all of that. But now it was more fascinating because I could actually apply that into my work. So yeah, I mean, that is how your foundation is built, and that is how you slowly advance. But yep, like you said, foundation is very, very important, and anyone can do it. That is what my take is.
Right. Got it. Got it. So I think that's the learning path for people to follow. Now, a few questions that we're getting on the Q&A box is where can they really learn Python and how can they start? What are your thoughts there?
Good question. So um, the best part about Python is it is free. Like, it's an open source language. It is free. You can download it right now on your whatever machine, laptop, whatever you have, and you can actually start writing, code. Now there are a lot of resources on YouTube. Simplilearn has a lot of resources as well, which are available for doing basic Python learning, and those are, I would say, those are really good to start, getting your hands dirty onto Python, right? Now, there are a lot of other places you will find where you can practice some examples. You can look at some, more advanced features in Python. But I think for starting your journey, everything is available for free on YouTube. And I would say, like I mentioned, Simplilearn itself has a lot of great videos for, starting your Python and machine learning journey.
Yeah,
So yep, everything is free. If you want to start your journey, Python is free. Those YouTube videos are there. You can actually start from today.
yeah, actually. So there's a course on Skill Up as well, which is a great start. And this course is actually Python for beginners. Now, if you just open the page, the link that I, shared, you can actually explore other relevant courses as well, right? So, so yeah, let me just remove this. Sorry, tech. I think, yeah, my screen, the slide is visible, but if you open the link that I shared, you might be able to find related courses as well. But a great start is to actually start your journey by learning Python for free. Okay. So another interesting question that we got on LinkedIn, Piyush, is are there roles that don't require Python at all? What are your thoughts there?
Y- Uh, I mean, yeah. So there are roles, and I think the example which I gave earlier was, when I was working with a bunch of other data scientists who had the expertise of Python, but they rarely use Python because of the nature of work they were doing, right? So for example, what I just mentioned, doing corporate strategy planning, you needed to have a very good foundational uh, aspect of data and algorithms and mathematics, but you necessarily did not need Python, right? You needed to have good presentation skills. Python is not needed for that. You need to have good communication skills. Python is not needed for that. But what was needed was understanding data, presenting data. right? And all of those things are part of what you learn as a data scientist,
Right.
right? So yeah, I mean, in those kind of roles, Python probably doesn't come into picture, but then all the other aspects do, right? But if you are looking for a job which is in the technical domain, Python is definitely needed for that.
Yeah. You can't really have,
Yeah,
shortcuts there.
yeah,
Right. Okay. Got it. So I think with this, let's just proceed to helping the learners understand how our program is built. So this particular program is called Professional Certificate Program in Generative AI and Machine Learning, and we've launched this in partnership with and ICT Academy, IIT Guwahati. What happens is you understand all the areas of machine learning, which Piyush mentioned a while back, and you of course have faculty from IIT Guwahati and industry experts who take master classes towards the end of the course, and of course you learn all of this hands on, and Piyush will kind of help you understand how an actual live class happens, and along with that you receive a certificate jointly offered by Simplilearn and ENICT Academy as well. Okay, so this is just some highlights of the course, but what we would like to help you understand is how this course really builds that foundation which Piyush mentioned a while back, and how our learning path is structured. So, Piyush, if you can actually take them through the entire learning journey, and or
sure.
maybe like a sample of how an actual class happens as well.
Yep. So, um, so I've been teaching for almost last 5 years now, and I have lost count, but I think I've taught more than 5,000 people by now. So, uh, an actual class is a live class, right? So, one thing which I really want to focus over here is that this is not a recorded video. Like your class is not a recorded video. You are directly interacting with the trainer. So, and this is very important because when you're learning the foundation, this is where most of your questions should come in, right? Again, if you're from a non-technical background and we are doing this foundation course of Python, this is where most of the questions would come in, right? About the programming aspects and the programming concepts and statistics, etc. So we start with the foundational aspects, and that is where we spend a lot of time in getting up everyone to speed, right? So that usually like a cohort is a mix of people from non-IT and IT background, right? So when I say IT, someone who has already programming skills or some kind of technical skills. So before we move on to the next stage, right? Like I mentioned in previously, everyone has to be at the same level, right? Because once you move on to the next stage, then we are not talking about programming concepts. You're not talking about basic statistical models. We are talking about everything which is built on top of them, right? So if your programming foundations are strong, other other topics are become very, very easy. But for people again from a non-technical background, you have to put probably 10 times more effort than people who are from a technical background, in the initial phase. But once you are at the same level, I think then the learning becomes constant for everyone, right? So the first foundational class is the most important, I would say, where we help out person from every different field to understand statistics, to understand programming concepts, to understand Python basics, right? This is where we want to spend most of the time and get everyone up to the same level, right? Now, once you are good with your foundational aspects, then we move on to machine learning models because that is the next step of how to predict something based on the data, right? Now, along with it, we also study about visualization, and because again, a very important part of, like I mentioned earlier, very important uh, part of your role as a data scientist is presenting the data, presenting your findings, right? So of course you need to know about visualizations, how to create different kind of charts, and what do each of these charts mean, how to interpret them, etc. So all of that comes in your second stage, which is learning machine learning algorithms and data processing and visualizations, right? The third stage is basically how to develop these models and working with some real life data sets. Okay. Again, data science, machine learning is all about data. So unless you look at actual live data, right, you won't be able to understand, or you won't be able to do, or won't be able to showcase your analysis skills and data modeling skills on it, right? So, and one thing in data science is, which is different from other kind of programming, is that in data science you work with real life data, you don't work with made up data, right? In other, you know again, people who are from maybe technical background, when you're building some kind of applications, you don't care too much about real life data. You can make up some data, you can test out your application. But in data science, you work with actual live data to build your models, right? And that is where the whole difference is. How do you look at millions and millions of data points and apply your foundational aspects and your uh, algorithm and statistical foundations on that data set to make a good model? So this is where we work on real life data sets. We do a lot of hands-on exercises on how to uh, tackle each kind of different use cases in machine learning and data science, right? Then we have we move on to more advanced concepts, which is your deep learning. Now, what is deep learning? Deep learning is everything to do with AI, or what people like to call artificial intelligence. Although for me, everything is AI. But just to have that differentiation, your smartphone is working on AI technologies. Your retina scanner, somewhere you go on the airport, like if you've been to the airport recently, I think a lot of the airports have installed these retina scanners, which is really cool. Now you don't have to wait in the line, you can just go through because your profile is already there, right? So everything to do with computer vision, everything to do with chat GPT, Claude, Llama, all of these names you might have heard of, is under deep learning, right? And deep learning is, I would say, like a sub foundation for moving into gen AI, which is our next concept, right? So gen AI is everything to do with, like I said, building something like a chat GPT, building something like a chatbot, and a very good interactive chatbot which can get all your data, talk to you like a real person, right? Building something like a Sora tool which can create a video or create images out of AI, right? So all of those concepts are under generative AI, right? We also learn about prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is nothing but how to interact with these already created models and get your work done through them. So from there, we again, this is uh, part of generative AI as well. How to work with large language models, how you can train those large language models, what are some of the advanced concepts in natural language processing, and something like a multimodal AI which can do everything, which can generate images, which can also generate text, which can generate a lot of different kind of data. How do you actually work with those kind of models? So if you look at the learning path, your foundation, again, which is probably the most important one, right? And then you move on to one step further into data science and traditional machine learning algorithms. Then you move on to deep learning, which is more of the future of AI. And then your chat GPT and your diffusion models and gen AI, everything comes after that. So based on all of this, you get, finally you have a very good capstone project which you have to solve, which you can absolutely put on your resume, on your LinkedIn profile, and of course on your GitHub repository, wherever, right? So that capstone level is the last milestone in your journey.
Got it, Piyush. Thanks. Thanks for highlighting that in detail. Actually, I hope by now the learners are actually clear about what their learning path should be, because we're getting these repetitive questions. I would just like to pause here and understand if all of you guys are on the same page in terms of how you should go forward in building these skills, what these skills are, and how do you eventually take on jobs. So is that Is that clear? Just a quick yes or no will help. Yeah. So Piyush, we're specifically talking about generative AI and machine learning. Now, this is not the right course for you if you are looking for analytics. I'm not sure if this is the course. There's another course, actually a very similar course offered by, offered again in partnership with IIT Guwahati and ICT Academy. It's called Professional Certificate Program in Data Analytics and Generative AI. So that probably is the right course for you. Okay. Okay. Amazing. Right. So Piyush, another question that we're having, which is after developing these foundation skills, and let's say someone has projects in their kitty, are able to display that. How does one eventually get hired? Maybe again, you could share your perspective here about how you are convinced to hire someone from for your team, or how
Mm-hmm.
would you convince the HR, in the selection process? So this is also a question that we're seeing, a common question on the Q&A box. So maybe you could share your insight here as well.
Sure. That's a very good question.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I think we all know that because of the boom in AI, right, there are a lot of people who are actually acquiring these skills, right? So there are a lot of openings, but there are obviously a lot of people as well who are qualified for it. Correct. Now, where I see the difference at which, and I see across a lot of people who hire um, AI experts and freshers in this industries, we always look for very good foundational skills. Okay, again coming back to what I've highlighted earlier, right? People really check on your foundational skills. Correct. In a typical data science interview, nobody's going to give you a very complex problem and say that write this code, right, give me a deep learning code or for something like this, right? Because honestly right now, if you see and if you have read across the all the news and everything, we have a lot of tools which can write code now, right? And now it has come to generative AI as well. So writing code is not a very big, I would say, skill right now. Of course, the skill is understanding it, right? So the skill which you want to gain is you have a very good foundational aspect, and something like written by a GPT or a Claude, you can understand it very well and fix it if you can, right? That is a skill which you want to acquire. So that comes through foundational aspects, right? That comes through foundational Python skills. So that is certainly something which people want to check on. Now, mostly most of the roles are usually targeted towards generative AI, especially in the tech field right now. Generative AI also has a lot of foundational concepts, right? And of course, that when people opt for this course, they will know what those concepts are. But that is another thing which people look for, these foundational concepts of generative AI, right? So understanding how do these models work, what are the parameters you would tweak to do something different, in this kind of use case, how would you build a design for solving some kind of generative AI use case. All those things are again from part of foundational generative analytics. Correct. So I would say 60-70% of the interviews are focused on your foundational skills, right? The other 30% is focused on how or what have you already solved, right, in your previous experience. Now, if you're already coming from some experience background, great. I mean, you probably might have done some courses, but even if you're not, right, there are a lot of projects which we do in this course. There is already capstone project mentioned over here. This is where you highlight what you have done, what kind of tools and technologies you have used, why have you done, and again the questions would be around, why did you choose this algorithm, what was the reason, can you showcase me your project, etc., etc. So all of these things are probably the next questions which would come on if you're coming from a more kind of fresher background.
Right.
So your project should be on your LinkedIn, Your project should be on your GitHub profile, which is basically a repository on cloud where you can put all your code and whatever work you have done for people who are not aware of that. So
Mm.
all of those things should be there, right? So, and the third thing, which definitely at least I check, and I know many other people check, is strong communication skills, right?
Mm.
Which again I highlighted previously. You have to be a very, very good communicator if you are working in a data science role, because every day you are going to deal with non-technical people, business stakeholders, and if you cannot communicate the technical knowledge into a layman terms, then you would probably lose out on the project, right? Or whatever work you're trying to do. So foundational skills, your previous work, no, whether it's actual or whether it's a project, doesn't matter. If you can talk about it well enough, and your communication skills. So these three things are, I know, definitely what people look for when they're hiring a data scientist.
Right, absolutely. I think I hope this clarifies this thing about what is really required out of you. Another interesting question that came, maybe if you can just answer this very briefly, is are there any projects that are like favorites for employers as well? Okay, maybe doing a certain project in a certain domain is going to get them that highlight or that spotlight. Um, is there something like that as well, or anything that
Good question.
any
So,
project can be picked up?
yeah, so that's a good question. And in fact, going back to my earlier point, which I mentioned, if you are applying, if you are already working in some domain, right? If you're already working, let's say, in a retail domain or an e-commerce domain or banking or pharma, whatever, right? And doesn't matter, you're probably doing a non-technical job, but you have enough domain knowledge. You would probably be the most eligible candidate as a data scientist in that domain, right? Because you have the domain knowledge, again, which is what not everyone has. I mean, it is acquired over time. It is acquired through your skills working on that domain for a length of time. So that is something which you cannot learn in a day, right? Or in 2 months also, right? So if you have domain expertise, absolutely you would have an edge over in your domain as a data scientist over other people who are, entering the same area. Now, if you talk about favorite projects, right now, everyone's favorite technology is Gen AI, right? So if you have a project which you have already worked on Gen AI, if you know the concepts very well, right, you would definitely have more edge over someone who has not done Gen AI. Again,
Hmm.
considering that you are applying for a role which needs generative AI, and which is most of the roles which are open right now in the industry. So any generative AI project which you have done uh, on your own or in the past definitely is what people are looking for right now.
Right. Got it. Got it. All right. So thanks, Piyush, for explaining that in much detail. Just to like quickly summarize the highlights of this particular program before we talk about enrollment steps and the eligibility. What you understand is, of course, the fundamentals. We've highlighted that enough, and machine learning foundations too, specializing in machine learning, deep learning, NLP, computer vision, and also generative AI as well. So, of course, you can pick roles in generative AI, but the course also focuses on machine learning here. It's not entirely about generative AI, like someone had a question there. And you get master classes from faculty from IIT Guwahati. And of course, you work hands on, like what Piyush mentioned. You're going to be doing these projects, building the capstone yourself, so that way you're able to defend your skills well with the employers, and that also is going to get you a portfolio to kind of defend in interviews, right? So a certificate that's launched, that's given to you in a joint certificate from IIT Guwahati as well, and you have a 2-day in-person immersion at IIT Guwahati actually, and with this you also get an executive alumni status, and which kind of offers you that opportunity to connect with professionals in the same field. Okay. And one last thing about this course is that we've got something known as Job Assist, also called Job Assist Plus. Now, what happens is we help you optimize your resume, optimize your LinkedIn profile, help you prepare for interviews, and give you access to different openings. I mean, job openings that are there. Access, as in, we help you kind of promote your profile on IIM jobs. So that's how we offer Job Assist. This is by no means giving you a job guarantee. We assist you in finding the right opportunity. Okay, so there are no offline courses, unfortunately, Dhara. These are all online courses only. Okay, and how's, yeah, like I just said, how's the delivery? It's 100% live virtual sessions. Piyush actually conducts some of these classes. And Piyush, is there a specific module that you take, or is it, if you can
No,
also.
I do like end-to-end uh,
Oh,
machine, like this end-to-end course.
got it. Got it. Yeah. So you will actually meet Piyush if you take on, take on the next cohort that is coming up. Someone has a question. Okay, is it really difficult to learn without a computer background? Piyush, we anticipated this question, so maybe you could
Yep,
also just summarize that as well. Yeah.
yep. So, uh, so I don't want to say that it's going to be easy, right? Let me put it that way. But with enough of your effort and enough from your, so like I said, where you want to put the most effort is your foundational skills, right? Which I mentioned a couple of times earlier as well. So even if you're from a non-computer science background, right, the only thing which you have to really put your effort in understanding programming concepts, okay, which are not hard, by the way, right? Millions of people are already doing it, so it's nothing special, right? It's not rocket science, right? A lot of people are already doing it. So it's just that you have to put some extra effort, right, if you're not coming from that background. And again, like I said, Python probably the easiest programming language in the world, so you don't even need to rack your brains too much that you're learning C++ or C or something like that, correct? So I won't say that it's going to be very easy coming in, but if you maximize your efforts in the first few phases of the program, rest is going to be very, very simple.
Hmm.
So yeah, absolutely, person from a non-tech background is definitely uh, pretty, I mean, is very welcome to take this course. And uh, you just have to put some efforts when you learn about programming concepts and background. And I'll
Yes.
tell you, like, some of the best data scientists I work with and I know are all from non-programming background. So
Hmm.
I'll also give you that guarantee.
That one can become a good data scientist if
Yes.
you don't have. Yeah. So all it requires is some commitment to obviously learn and upskill and build that strong foundation, because you may not understand a few things. Again, Piyush actually highlighted this in a lot of conversations that Python actually sets the foundation for all the modules that you saw. Right. So if you don't understand that, then the sessions become hard for you to understand as well. So it's important that you put that effort as well in order to kind of make sure that you are at par with your peers too, which you actually get this opportunity to interact with learners live and also with your peers. So you know who your peers are in a session. It's not one way like a webinar. It's actually a session where people are able to interact with each other and also the trainer, of course in a controlled format, but it's very similar. But there's a lot more inside. They're much longer and much more in detail. Okay, so that's how these sessions happen, and this is how your certificate looks like. So just to quickly show you the certificate, I'm not sure if it's exactly visible, but you can take a look at the certificate as well on the course page. You can find it there. I'll send the link to the course page in a while. And just a little bit about what ENICT Academy IIT Guwahati stands for. So this was set up, under the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. And what they focus on is areas like AI, machine learning, data science, and other emerging tech. And this IIT Guwahati is actually India's leading technology institution and is known for research, innovation, especially in AI and automation as well. So if you're looking for a course on AI, this is probably the right place for you because it offers the right mix of expertise and skills. So just to further talk about what we offer, so it's actually a hub for upskilling and growth in startups as well. And ENICT Academy actually bridges that gap between what the real world really needs, the industry needs, and the academia. Okay, so we've got this course will help you develop solutions on your own for different domains, not limited to tech or anything, also domains apart from tech, like healthcare, agriculture, can also be defense, manufacturing, and so on. Okay, so that's just a little bit about ENICT Academy IIT Guwahati. And who is this program really suited for? Who can be a part of this program? So remember just what Piyush said. Anybody can actually become a data scientist and pursue a career in data science, machine learning. It's just that it requires you to build that foundation and put that effort slightly differently based on your background. Okay, so you can be in any of these roles and you can still become a part of the course, still pick up a job in the field. It's not going to stop you. Now, what we need from you to be a part of the program is a bachelor's degree. So in case you don't have that, it's going to be hard for you to become a part of the program. At least 50% of marks is required from a recognized institution. And definitely foundational skills help. It actually helps you understand the course, pick up the course, and benefit from the program way better than anyone else who does not have this foundation. And of course, 2+ years of professional experience, just again for you to understand the use cases better. Okay, so this is the eligibility. How do you enroll? The process is very simple. So at some point, you would have interacted with Simplilearn, any of our Simplilearn courses. So we might have your details, but in case you don't, you've not interacted with Simplilearn at all, I'll be launching a very quick poll in a while, asking you your interest. So if you just click a yes, your information along with email ID will flow to a learning advisor. They will, help you submit an application. And once that happens, someone will scrutinize your application for the eligibility criteria. And if the admissions panel feels that you are good to go, then you're able to reserve your seat in the upcoming cohort, and you pay the admission fee and then you start learning. These are the 3 steps. So let me just quickly talk about the upcoming cohort. The program induction actually starts in October, but we're actually closing down applications very, very soon in the next 1 week to 10 days. So make sure you are joining us in this cohort. I'll launch this poll in a while. Now, the fee is 1 lakh, close to 1,35,000 rupees, excluding GST. But let's say you want to avail installments, you can also do that with financing partners such as ShopSay, Propelled, or Fibe. You can pay installments as low as 6,000 odd rupees. Okay, so that's about the course fee. And someone was asking exact timetable and course details. Unfortunately, I don't have that with me right now. So a learning advisor actually has the detailed class timetable and the cohort. What we find is information on the course page. So in case you're interested to talk to a learning advisor and actually try and have conversations about how you can kickstart your journey fast, you can click a yes on the poll that I'm about to launch. Okay, let me just do that. So if you click on a yes, your information is passed on to a learning advisor. They will contact you tomorrow morning and reach out to you, and you can ask them questions about whatever questions you have about the cohort. Okay. Yeah. And in case you're looking for exploring the course yourself, someone is asking the link to the course as well. Let me just share that here. Yeah, 1 sec. So actually, there are also other courses that may be of use to you in case you feel, okay, this is exactly not exactly what I'm looking for. You can find other courses from, IIT Guwahati and also other, universities as well. So there are courses on data analytics, there are courses on AI-powered decision making, also courses on AI and machine learning, just AI engineer master. So you've got multiple options from which you can choose. Age limit 18 plus, definitely. Okay, and this is the link to the course. Shared it on the chat. Please take a look. You can also download your brochure and understand all of what we explained in detail. Okay. Yeah. So while I keep the poll live, I'm actually going to head to the Q&A because we've got a lot of questions there. Let me see. Okay, we may not be able to take all of them because we just have 15 minutes to wrap up. But let me just try. Piyush, we've got a question from Ashish who says DevOps engineer nowadays have conflict with. Okay, how could we deploy AI models on MCP servers? That's his first question. The second question is, how do you maintain reliability and security? How does someone switch from DevOps to AI ops?
Very good question and more technical, I believe. A very technical focus, I think. So you're already working in DevOps. If you're already working DevOps, I think, yeah, you might have heard of all this. And uh, so, of course, this is a very technical question, but I'll give some general thoughts about it. So there is this concept of MCP servers, some people might have heard, which is coming out, right? Which is another, uh, found, which is sort of like a generative AI sub part of Gen AI, and is used by a lot of people now to develop very interesting applications and tools across the industry. So, which raises a very good point since you mentioned security is a very, very big aspect in AI right now, right? In fact, I'll tell you, uh, the most research which is happening in AI currently across the world is around security, is around how AI is going to impact, on the social structure of the entire planet, and also ethical AI, right? So e- and I'm telling you because a lot of people are also interested in doing PhD in data science and AI. This is one very, very big aspect of research which is going on, and it's going to be very big, in the coming years as we adopt more and more of these AI tools. So yes, there is a very big security aspect around AI, and that is another. In fact, I would say that is another role which might come up in the probably in the next few years, just AI security, which would be huge again, right? So question to your question of how do you implement security in MCP servers, that's nobody's able to crack the entire framework for that, right? People are still uh, trying to find out or build their own frameworks to have this security in place, because again, using AI and generative models involves a lot of these ethical concepts and security. So definitely, I mean, that is something very good question, and that is something still no one has been able to crack the framework yet. But yeah, people are developing their own. The other concept of AI ops, which is another big you can say part of generative AI right now. So how do you do operations through AI, right? So you must have heard of, and some people might have heard of a tool called ServiceNow, which is a desk tool. Started out very small, has become very big. ServiceNow is actually playing a very big part of AI, a role in AI ops. So they have developed a lot of tools which are helping out people in AI ops solve, increase productivity and solve a lot of DevOps aspects through AI. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, just to answer your question on more non-technical basis, definitely security is one thing which you have to look out for. There is no framework yet. which for AI security, people are still researching and developing, and it will develop, as we go along.
Got it. I hope that answers the learner's question. Ashish, I hope that answers your question. So in case someone wants, okay, after online earning platforms, like, okay, this question is actually not clear, so I'm just going to skip that. Someone else has a question, how to scrap database data with the help of AI chatbot with API. Do you have maybe on a broad level, if you can just explain the steps?
So I believe your question is how you can pull out the data
Data,
from
yes.
database
Database,
through
yes.
a chatbot. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think, yeah, this seems like a uh, this seems like a what we call it as a RAG application, where we have access to a database through an API, and we have a chatbot or some large language model in place, which is connected through some API to the database, and you're giving instructions in a more natural language kind of format to extract data from there. So it is all part of using tools like LangChain, uh, OpenAI, Python, some database, SQL or Postgres, whatever it is, or interconnecting, working together through some agentic framework or a non-agentic framework, and then pulling that out.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Got
I mean, this is a very, in fact, this is a very, very popular use case right now, which a
it.
lot of organizations are exploring.
Okay, okay, got it. So is this also covered in the program, or I mean,
Yep. So the part where I mentioned advanced generative AI, this is
mhm,
where we actually cover how to build these RAG applications, which is retrieval augmented generation applications, to connect uh, your data through to a chatbot or through a large language model, and then doing a lot of interactions with it.
right, got it. Someone has a very basic question who posted in the beginning of the session. Actually, I was waiting for the end of the session to take this. So Alok has this question: why do you think is AI growing so fast that every industry, every role is kind of wanting to adopt uh, this technology? What
Very
does it?
good point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very good point. So if you remember I don't know how, you probably are not as old as me, but if you remember the dot-com bust which happened in the early 2000s, right? What was happening at that time? Everybody was developing a website, right? Why was everybody developing a website? Because people had access to internet. People had just gotten access to internet. Everybody wanted to see what is out there on internet. So if I had a company, I wanted other people to see that, hey, I'm selling these products. Click
Mm,
here, shop here, come to my store or whatever. Correct. Now that did not work out because of a lot of other reasons, right? But AI is a similar trend is happening right now in AI, right? AI, and this is obviously through all of these years of using AI. AI has shown that it can boost a lot of productivity, right? Now, if you boost productivity, right, what are you doing? You're saving time for your people, you're saving time for your business, right? You're able to do more things in the same amount of time. Now, if you're able to do more things in the same amount of time, you're generating more revenue, right? If you are giving a lot of interactive tools to your customers, you are basically having more of their attention, right? And when you're having more of the attention, that is again translating to revenue, right? Everyone has a smartphone, everyone has internet, correct? Every industry in on the planet, right, is right now on the internet,
mm,
correct? Everyone wants to make money, everyone wants to generate more revenue. And the only way right now to make that happen is, how do you capture people who are already on their smartphones, who are already on their laptops, who are already online most of the time throughout the day? So this is where AI is coming into picture more and more. It is helping you solve things fast. It is helping you develop applications which are creative, interactive, can generate revenue for you, right? It is helping you boost productivity in your own organizations, correct? it is helping you doing a lot of prototyping much faster than you could have imagined, right?
Right.
I mean, think about, I'm a pharmaceutical company. I used to take 10 years to develop a drug. Now that time is almost getting half because of AI.
Hmm.
So I can launch the drug fast in the market. I can start getting revenue. My costs are lower. I can start generating profits much more faster than I could have.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, long and short of it, these are the things which AI is helping out. And in the end, it's all about profits and revenue, right? Whichever industry you think about. So because AI is translating this into monetary gains, that's why everybody is jumping on it.
Understood. Understood. I think that's like most detailed way of answering, and also it makes sense. I mean, that's exactly why everybody's kind of adopting AI so fast. And just a little bit about the cohort. I know I had mentioned these dates, but just to quickly highlight. So these are your next upcoming cohorts here. The program induction starts on the 17th of September and regular classes on the 20th of September. There's another cohort for which the induction actually happens 2nd of September. Applications are closing on 28th of August for these cohorts, and regular classes start slightly later. So this is something that I wanted to show. And in case you have the course link and you're looking to understand more about the course, this particular review will help you kind of make that decision as well. So how this learner transitioned into being a business analyst, something that you can look at as well. And along with that, what you can do is download the brochure. So I'm going to scroll up. Yeah, so when you click here, you'll be prompted to enter your details. You can do that and download the brochure too. And these are the capstone projects that Piyush was mentioning. There are also some course end projects listed here. You will be doing these, as a part of the course too. Okay. So all of this is actually available on the course page, and all the highlights that I mentioned are available here. This program is 11 months long. And like I said, we're closing down applications very soon. So in case you are interested in being a part of our upcoming cohort, please click on a yes, and you will be contacted by a learning advisor who will help you understand these details. Okay. Yes. Let's see, a minute. One more question that came in. Does the curriculum include AI integrated tools that support project management? I don't think so. Piyush, I think you're the right person to answer this
Yeah,
question.
very good question. I think what you're referring to is some kind of GenAI tools like Copilot or Microsoft Copilot,
Yeah.
or something like that. So we do actually talk about the Copilot, since we use it for programming,
Mhm.
but not necessarily going into more domain specific, like Copilot roles. Like for example, there's a Copilot for finance, there's a Copilot for project management. So we do talk about these tools, but extensively we use GitHub Copilot in our courses, because because we are doing programming
Right.
from the course perspective. But we do talk about all these tools when we actually get to the Gen AI module.
Got it. All right. Great. So I think with that, I'm just going to end this poll right here, collecting interest into the program. So if you are still interested, you have the link to the course page. People on LinkedIn and YouTube can actually head to the course page, which is provided to you in the comments or in the video description. Head to the course page, submit your interest, and tell them that you attended this session and you would like to know more. Okay. Unfortunately, you would not have access to the poll, so you can do that with the links in the video description. And what I'm going to do right now is also share the poll for submitting your names for webinar certificate. Now, remember, if you've submitted your name on the poll, please do not do anything else. You don't have to do anything else. You will receive your certificate by the end of tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. And there's one more follow-up question to when we talked about, picking up data from databases, from Harish from YouTube. What if I'm trying to take data from different databases like Mongo or Cassandra, MySQL, and all are different parameters? Does a chatbot, I mean, can a chatbot really identify these parameters properly in a descriptive way? That's his question.
Good question. I think this is also part of what we develop in the agentic AI framework, where you have multiple sources and you need to pull out based on some user query. So how do you do that? So yeah, absolutely, it's possible. Of course, I mean, there is a lot of behind the scenes programming which you have to do around this, but given the right kind of prompting, given the right kind of tools you are using to build this, it's pretty simple, I would say, to make it understand all the different parameters of different databases to act on.
Right.
Which brings me to the point that this is also another uh, very hot industry tool which a lot of IT services industries are trying to build.
Understood. All right, Harish, I hope that answers your question. And if people are watching us on either of our platforms, LinkedIn or YouTube, in case you want your webinar certificate, you could email us at webinars@simplilearn.net. Audience on Zoom can actually submit their names, and that's more than enough. But it was great bringing this session to the learners. There were a lot of questions that showed eagerness to kind of pursue a career, build a career there, and also learn, eagerness to learn. So I think that's commendable. And it was great hosting you as well, Piyush. Great to have you, listening to your insights. I think the learners definitely are taking away a lot from the session. If in case you have last thoughts, you can share as well. And of course, the learners, if you have something to share with Piyush as well, it'd be great. You can put that on the chat box.
Sorry, what did you want me to share? My
So
bad.
any final thoughts before we end the session?
No, first of all, thank you for having me. It was wonderful talking to everyone who's interested in getting into this field. Like I said, right now is the right moment to jump on this train and explore all the possible opportunities there are in the AI field. In fact, I would say that this is one of the fields where if you learn, you can even work independently on something on your own, right? So there are limitless things you can imagine. It's all, once you do this course, it all comes down to what you can think of, you can do, like your creativity and your. So, uh, yeah, I mean, if you're looking to get into this, I would say the points which I mentioned earlier, start reading about it, start following industry experts in this area, read the news, at least follow some of news on Twitter or some social media platform. Try to register for these kind of webinars, events which happen across the clock every time. So that would be my suggestion, to move further.
Great. Thanks, Piyush. And also thanks to the learners. So yeah, I think we'll wrap up the session on a high note. We really look forward to seeing some of you in our upcoming cohorts, and you'll also meet Piyush there. Great hosting you guys.